Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the show. Today, we're back with one of our most popular guests, Jeremy Brown, and today he'll talk about negotiation skills. Joining me, as I said, is Jeremy Brown. He's a digital forensics and incident response specialist who came into Palo Alto Networks as part of the Crypsis group. If you haven't watched Jeremy's other interviews, check them out using links in the description below. So Jeremy, welcome back again. Now, security is everywhere in our daily lives, including pop culture, entertainment. What's one ransomware depiction you've seen in a movie or a documentary?
Great question. I would have to say my favorite documentary that I've seen was Cyber War on Viceland. It really gave some good insight into threat actors and why they do what they do and how they operate. There's a few episodes. One, they follow around Anonymous, as I'm sure most people are who know who they are. They're a very obviously popular group out there. They follow nation state threat actors as well. So it gives you some good insight into what these guys do. Hackers just don't do this for money. There's all types of motivations behind hacktivism. So I think just understanding that and why they do what they do, it's a very good show. It's educational as well as insightful into kind of what we see, on our end here as a digital forensics firm.
Great. I'll definitely check it out. So some people watching us may be interested in becoming ransomware negotiators. We've also received tons of comments after our last episode, or they may be just casually interested in negotiation. What are the top 3 to 5 negotiation skills that anyone can use?
Sure. That's a great question. Again, you kind of have to understand your threat adversaries before you begin, right? You've got to know who you're dealing with, what the variant is, and what the group is behind it to understand how to approach these guys. I think the common approach will always be empathetic, sympathetic, apologetic, right? They don't want to feel like they're working with people that are going to push back, right? We always play that this has never happened to us before. We represent ourselves on behalf of the firm or company. This is new to us. We really need your help to get our data back, right? And that's kind of our opening tactic, right? So we want to get a reply with what they're looking for and how much. From there, again, we are always sympathetic and empathetic. So as an example, if it's a healthcare firm, hey, Mr. Threat Actor, you realize that you hit a healthcare provider that helps people out. We're a nonprofit. We don't have these type of funds, so on and so forth. The last thing you want to do is poke the bear, so to speak, right? You don't want to be aggressive with them. You don't want to say nasty things to them because that will cause an adverse reaction. And I've seen that before, unfortunately, not me, but at other times in negotiations. So it definitely is a skill set, and you just have to have the right mindset. I go in there and I try to get down to their level and just get into their mind, right? So again, empathetic, sympathetic, apologetic. You can never really undercut the amount too much sometimes because that will also have again, a adverse effect. So you really have to understand who these guys are. And there are different, trends and statistics out there of what kind of to expect at a discounted rate, right? So again, knowing your adversary, number one, empathetic, sympathetic, apologetic. You will hear me say that time after time again is the best strategy. And then at the end of the day, you want to negotiate the best deal you can for your client. I try to get 3 things out of them, okay? We want the decryption key. We want to know what data you took. We want proof of that. Show us a file tree, screenshots, give us the link to either Megasync or PleCloud, give us our data back, and then tell us how you got into our environment. Those are the 3 things that I shoot for. The latter 2 are more curtailed to the past 14 months of ransomware because of the increase in data exfiltration we've seen across the board in all variants, not just the ones that it only used to be associated with. And as well as these guys are starting to tell us how they got into the environment, which, you know, helps us out as a whole while we're doing our investigation. Now, they're criminals. You can only take them for their word, but we validate that, right? When they say they took data, we go find it to validate that. When they tell us how they got in, we validate that's how they got in on the client's behalf. So again, it's a certain skill set. You know, you definitely have to have some nerves of steel at some points, especially while you wait for that decryption key. In our previous recording, I kind of explained that waiting for the decryption utility is probably the hardest part of the negotiation, because you're making, you know, 6-7 figure payments to these guys, and you want your key back, and you're hoping they give it, which they usually do. So
yeah, it looks like from what you described, sympathetic, empathetic, and apologetic. What I'm also gathering is that being patient and being calm is really important in these negotiations.
correct. And then, you know, being a case lead, you have to manage the expectations accordingly with counsel and client. We always just brief our client and counsel that it's never guaranteed to get 1 penny off from these guys. It's never guaranteed that what they say is 100% truth or accurate. And these do take time. Now, typically negotiations are slow at the beginning, but once the threat actor kind of knows that the payments coming down the pipeline, it picks up speed, right? But at the end of the day, we always do what's right for the client. So.
Right. And Jeremy, correct me if I'm wrong, but what I'm also gathering is it's also important to have a clear goal in mind. What are you going into for? You said you go in with 3 things that are your goal, right?
Correct. You know, 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, ransomware was different, right? They came in, they poked around, they locked you up, they wanted money for a decryption key. What we see now is something called double extortion, guys. Not only are they coming into these environments and networks and locking them up, they are stealing data from these people or clients or businesses, what have you, prior to deploying ransomware. So now it's, hey, pay us for the key if you want your data back, and also pay us so we don't leak this to the press, to your clients, to your customers, to the dark web, so on and so forth. So we see what's called double extortion all the time now.
Great. Yeah, being a ransomware negotiator, I can imagine it's not easy, but I'm sure our audience got great tips from you, Jeremy. As always, this has been great. If you like this show, hit the subscribe button and visit paloaltonetworks.com. See you in the next episode.